Let's get
it started in here.
Oh, we're live.
All right, everyone ready?
Funky.
Yeah, let's make this happen.
All right. It is Friday, December 28th, 2018. I'm Micah Sargent, and right now we are going to talk about the year to come, our hopes, our wishes, our dreams, and the things that might make us worried about 2019. Who knows? But we're going to talk about it all because this is the iMore Show. Ba-ba-ba-dum-bum-bum-ba-dum. There's the music. And now, joining us this week is the ever smiley, the ever prolific, the ever vector based. It is Renee Ritchie. Hello, Renee.
Oh, I thought you were going to definitely go to somebody other than me, Mike.
I thought so too. Who is he talking about when he says ever smiling?
Yeah, and I was like, no. Happy almost New Year, Micah Sargent. Happy holidays. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas.
Thank you very much. Same to you. Canadian Christmas is happens at the same time.
It happens in November, but then New Year happens in February to sort of counterbalance.
I can't keep up. And then you've got like 7 holidays in between that.
That's not true. Wild. People watching this who don't learn about Canada and their education system, we have the same Christmas.
But you don't have the same Thanksgiving.
No.
Not
the same Thanksgiving. Next up is the mother of dragons of the Great Golden State. I can't remember all of the other names. There are so many. The cornerstone of the iMore podcast. It's Lori Gill. Hello, Lori.
Hello, how are you? I hope you had a wonderful holiday. I did. I got to spend a lot of time with my family. It was nice.
And it was warm there, I'm sure.
Warm is relative.
Warm. Yeah.
We have, before you answer that, we have freezing rain right now.
Oh my goodness.
It was probably Midwestern hot there. And I don't know, Nevada warm. Who knows?
Yeah, for California, it was kind of a chilly day, but you know.
My partner is in Australia right now, and of course, Christmas and other holidays are celebrated in the summer there, which just does not click with my brain. But yeah, he was talking about how he was sweating on Christmas Day, and I thought that is wild. That's wild to me. Last but not least, the lawyers have finally conferred. We have come to an understanding. It took a lot of time, a lot of arbitration, maybe a few back alley deals. But we once again have settled our differences, and Georgia _Dow is back on the iMore Show today, and we are happy to have her.
We didn't have a restraining order on the Dow. Oh, wait.
Oh, my word.
Show them the ears don't show.
Rudolph the Red-Horned Georgia had a very shiny head, and if you tried to make fun of it, you'd likely end up dead. All of the other Georgias.
No one will know. No one will know. It'll just there.
Yeah.
No.
Are they? Oh my, yeah.
That's the mascara. That is some mascara.
That's Geordie LaForge.
Eyelashes.
I love it. Welcome, Georgia Dow. We're sorry that you missed the Christmas festive holiday special with Santa hats and bows galore, but we're happy to have you for the looking into the new year episode.
Yeah, I'm happy to be there.
In fact, before we get going, I didn't prep you for this, but I'm just curious. What is a psychotherapist's opinion on New Year's resolutions?
Ooh.
My thought on New Year's resolutions is that we should try to better ourselves all through the year, not just during one time of the year. Then we put a lot of pressure on this New Year's resolution because it happens once a year and usually do too much, too big, no timelines, no small little tiny milestones to be able to get there. And so they usually last 2 to 3 weeks and then they're done. So I think the New Year's resolutions are done improperly to be able to make them effective. Apple, as a big company, though, could totally do some New Year's resolutions of stuff that we should be getting. I would be fully supportive of that.
That's a very good transition that you've done there.
It really is.
Yeah, good work. If your resolution was to have better segues in the new year, you're already killing it. You are killing it.
My resolution is to move to the Spider-Verse.
Ooh.
I just never want to leave the Spider-Verse now.
That was a really good film. If you have not seen it, it was great.
So good.
Yeah, I've seen lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of tweets about it. So it's apparently one to see and see in the theaters.
Give yourself that gift.
Yeah,
there you go.
Even if you don't like superhero movies or aren't into cartoons, it is done in a really cool way. It's a great film, and it's a great superhero movie. So it's a kind of cool movie, I gotta say. Didn't expect much, and
was very surprised. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
her heart grew 2 sizes that day.
Yes. Georgia. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our hopes and dreams for 2019, which sort of rhymes. It doesn't quite rhyme, but I kind of like it. Hopes and dreams for 2019.
Close enough.
It works.
Renee, we're going to start with you because you are a forward looker and often are doing, stories about what you hope to see Apple and maybe other tech companies do. So I think we can do sort of like we did last week, where we talked about things in the past, past year that we enjoyed. We'll just go around and talk about things. So kick it off.
You two fast forward. No, none of that. My biggest hope and dream for 2019 is for Apple to finally start turning Siri around. They've got all the pieces in place now. They hired John Giandrea, who was the head of AI and search at Google. They just recently, within the last couple of weeks, promoted him to a senior vice president, put him on the executive committee, and that's like as big as you can get in Apple. That's where Phil Schiller is, and Eddie Q is, and Angela Ahrens is, and John Sarugi, Johnny Ive. That is the top of the Apple food chain. So they are taking this seriously, and they've been rating AI experts from a ton of other places. It's like they got a new spectacular hire every couple of days now. And, that doesn't mean anything until they ship, but he's the kind of person who knows how to get things done. And instead of different parts of AI like machine learning and Siri and computer vision and natural language all being in different areas, being run by a bunch of different people across different organizations, it's all in one place now. And they've also finally shipped HomePod, which is a product that they couldn't hide lack of audio consistency from. Like previously, you could never tell if anybody was actually using the damn thing. But with HomePod, that's the only way to use it. So there was just no excuse possible there. It lives and dies based on its Siri implementation. So with all of this new brain power, all this new firepower, what looks like this new commitment from Tim Cook all the way down, I want to see come WWDC some real tangible evidence that Apple is not only digging itself out, but pushing itself forward, because Amazon and Google and Microsoft and Facebook are not slowing down on this stuff.
Facebook.
I know, but I mean, that's one of the biggest. So just as a quick tangent, that's one of the reasons I feel such urgency with this, because you can get pretty good AI now if you're willing to do it with Google or with Amazon. And even Facebook is starting to put out products. And that's fine. If you think that's a fair deal, you give them your data and they give you some piddling internet services, more power to you. But for people who don't think that's a fair deal, that think that free in terms of data is way too high a price, and is sick and tired of like Alexa sending their messages to different users, or Google's leaking data, or Facebook just doing something new and terrible every like twice a week at this rate, we need an option, and it has to be an option that's good, because otherwise a lot of people will just give up their privacy for convenience, and I don't think that's a fair position in the market.
So what do you really think about that, Renee?
Yeah. No. I have feels, Lori Gill. I have feels.
I can tell.
Well, I agree with you on the Siri thing. That is one of the things that I hope to see improve more and more in the coming year. Sort of I think last week was kind of one of the look backs that I had talked about on different podcasts, and what I thought could have been better, and what I think going forward can continue to get better. And yeah, I'm excited about the person coming from Google and doing the thing that there was a recent, well, I don't know how recent it was, but there was a post put out about the basic intelligence, essentially, of the different artificial assistants.
Yeah.
And Google had like the smartest AI of the group. It most often was able to answer the questions where others were unable. Amazon's device ended up like going commerce with things, so it tended to be a little bit, I think it was like if you asked it about what's the best, or how much does a pedicure or a manicure cost, and Amazon was like, well, here's a product that you can buy on Amazon that has this, that, and the other. It understood the question, though. I think Siri didn't understand the question, if I remember correctly. But Google was able to understand the question, say, hey, here's how much this costs. Here's how much it costs if you get gels. Here's how much it costs if you get this. Da, 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 da. That's really pretty incredible. And yes, there are lots of issues with Google. Yes, that's a concern. But to have the person who sort of was at the forefront of bringing those smarts into Google's virtual assistant now at Apple, that's so exciting, because now we're going to actually get to have our cake and eat it too. And it's very rare that that happens. So we'll get the if having a great virtual assistant is having the cake, eating the cake is the privacy that we get to go along with it. And so I'm looking forward to it.
Well,
but you have to wonder if there's going to be sort of a push to try to make Siri less private in order to make Siri more usable.
Ominous.
You know, like there might
that
be
was a little bit of a Black Mirror twist there, Lori.
I'm just saying, you know, like we all kind of generally have this idea in our head that the reason, or the main reason, that Siri isn't as good is that you basically have to wipe her memory after everything that she does, so she can never really learn deeply, because she's not storing, or it's not storing all of the data that other services are storing in order to kind of give you that better experience. That's the assumption that a lot of us have of why, the main reason why it's not as good. So if the guy who created Google is coming out, and Google's assistant is coming out and saying, well, what you need to do in order to make Siri better is have it store more data, have it collect more data, have it remember more data. Like, what, you know,
I'm
what's going to happen?
I'm hopeful for two big reasons. One is I think John left Google because he wanted a more ethical AI product. And when you hear his speeches, even before he left, I think he went to Apple because he saw that AI is terrifying if left unchecked, and that Apple's one of the few companies that were willing to put ethics ahead of product development. But also, I also think that this is one of those lies that have been told, both because companies that do exploit data want you to think they have to do it. And I think harvesting data and exploiting data are often conflated, but they shouldn't be. And I think you can collect an awful lot of data without like trying to sell me stuff on top of it, or use it to market to other, or sell the marketing information to other companies. And I also think that Apple can do a lot on device and in Secure CloudKit to sync and remember and store. They're already syncing data across devices now. And I think that was also a convenient excuse for Apple in some ways for just terrible Siri service. Like, it sucks, but they think it's because we're doing privacy, so that's not too bad. And I think that's also false. I think it sucked because it sucked, and that it can be private and also be good.
Well, and the hardware now is catching up in a big way too, because we've got, you know, they loved at that consumer event. I thought it was kind of odd that they talked so much about this little artificial intelligence machine learning chip that's included in all of the processes it runs on photos and yada, yada, yada. It was very, very nerdy. But because of them including that chip, you know, Apple does tend to sort of, we build these things and then later we announce cool things that you can do software wise that work on that hardware. And so I foresee, you know, if you've got this little chip that is doing artificial intelligence stuff, maybe it also becomes, you know, a local storage and access type device, in the same way that the secure enclave has become more than just being the place where it stores your fingerprint in numerical values. It does more than that now, and it's included now in you know, certain Mac devices as well. So I think that the groundwork is being laid, and while, you know, all of those concerns are certainly legit, you're going like, what's the trade-off there? I want to believe.
You want to believe,
yeah, that it's going to be
the cheerleader, save the Siri,
be good going forward.
And there's simple stuff that they could make for Siri that they really wouldn't have to store information to it, like just understanding context and being able to understand speech patterns better so that it knows what you're saying. These are not contextually based, really. Well, they're contextually based, but they're not based in a deep amount of learning that they would have to do. Like, I would love for being able to speak to Siri, and Siri, if I whisper, Siri whispers back. If I, you know, ask for something, it actually answers me. If I ask for, like, you know, to call Renee, which I've done like 100,000 times, that by now it's figured out this is what I mean, because I've only done this 100,000 times already to it. you know, you wouldn't think that now it would suddenly ask for someone that I've never asked to call ever.
Calling Renee Auberge Noel. We'll see if Odo is free.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, like, you know, if I wasn't paying attention, like I would want it to be able to work truly as a hands-free device, not to have to choose stuff. Those kind of things I think that we could get if Apple will put the emphasis on actually doing it. The problem is that the longer that they wait, the more behind they get to this. And then the more frustrated that people that use Siri become, because they're like, you know, I don't want to give up my privacy, but I also want to be able to have the functionality that most other voice assistants give.
Yeah, the Echo does whisper with you.
I was so excited about the Siri suggestions and Siri shortcuts coming to iOS 12, and I, you know, loaded all of my little recipes and got so excited about it. And it would work about 60% of the time. Ooh, and now there's a couple that I try to run and they don't work at all. Yeah. And it's just, you immediately just say, you know, I give up. I'm not even going to do it anymore. 60% of the time,
you're absolutely right. But 60% of the time is way too far off. If you don't hit 90 to 95% of the time, you lose trust in a device.
That's like it's exactly what it feels like.
And then you're like, why do it?
Did you do the toggle where you change languages and change it back? Because they had a major incident a couple of weeks ago that shredded a lot of the shortcuts. But if you change the language and changed it back, it fixed everything.
Thank you for that suggestion. So let's stop for just a minute in case anybody's listening and they're having trouble running their Siri shortcuts. Can you say that one more time? I'm going to do it right now as you explain it to me.
There was a Siri shortcuts outage, and Apple put out a patch, but it didn't take for some people. So it's sort of like the reboot Windows version of this is if you change Siri from like US English to in Canadian or British English, and you can either leave it on or change it back, it sort of resets the system and everything starts working again.
So you open your settings app on your iOS device and then you tap general? No, you tap search, Siri and search.
Yeah, so you go into Siri and search and it should have a language setting in there.
You go to language. So I'm doing these steps as we speak, and I'm going to switch it to English South African. I'm going to hit change language.
South African English is the very best for years and years. Everyone is known as South African accent is just.
You're so sad.
I love that accent so much.
Should I close anything, close the app or anything, or just switch it right back?
I would leave it like that for now. Just try it and then
okay.
See if it works and then switch it back.
So I'm going to try it right now. Okay.
Okay.
Nap time. Well, that didn't work, but not for the same reasons.
Oh, there's a whole different reason it didn't work.
Nap time.
Okay.
Nothing.
Still not working?
Turn it back to English. Maybe you need to switch it back after.
I'm going to try that.
I love that beautiful African voice.
It's very deep, yeah.
We played Heads Up, and Renee did all of the impressions languages, and we did very well.
Oh, yeah, I bet. You had him on your team.
Oh, it ran my shortcut.
Yay!
Okay,
there you go.
So switching it away from my native language and back to my native language actually fixed that problem where my Siri shortcuts weren't working. That doesn't account for all the other things that Siri doesn't do.
But at least we could fix one thing, Lori. We fixed one thing today.
One step closer. Yes.
I hope that Jim Metzendorf did a nice little trim down on that. But we got the solution we were looking for there in the end. Siri, we want you to be better in 2019. Georgia Dow, it's your turn. What's on the top of your list of changes to be made in 2019 or fun things to come?
Or fun things to come, or both to that. Both to that. Yeah. So we ended up getting some of the stuff. There's some that's like just hardware kind of issues to that, and I'll kind of go through the bugs that I have to it. So button placement it still bothers me. I guess I'm the only one, but I really wish that the like on off button, instead of being like, I constantly, like, we played the game Heads Up, and I think that people turned off my phone, what, Renee, like 5 times, 6 times during the game because of button placement. And I still turn it off by mistake when I'm holding it, taking photos. I've seen Renee do it. And if Renee is still turning off his phone by mistake, instead of taking a photo or a selfie, there might be an issue to that. And then the other piece of button placement, like, I'd love it back to be on the top, please.
I turned it off when trying to take a photo of Johnny Ive.
Oh no!
Oh,
That's really that's
did
great.
Did you have to stop him and say, "Wait, hold on a minute"?
No,
I just
he looked at
Did he say
me
you were
and he
holding
said,
it wrong?
he looked at me and said, "Would you like me to do that for you?" In the most pleasant British accent
Oh
ever.
my God, that's the. Oh
That's
no!
great. That's great. Can you send like a photo of that photo, like for us, of when you did it? That would be just great. I think everyone wants to see it.
Oh
It's in
wow!
my
Yeah,
Instagram
you
feed
have
mortifying.
It's your Well, okay,
Would you
search
like me
Renee's
to do that for
Instagram
you?
feed.
Lord have mercy.
Follow at Renee Ritchie. The other thing is to hard reset the phone. I don't want to have to do the Konami code every time I want to hard reset the phone. I have to look it up still, or I ask Renee if Renee happens to be there. I renoogle. But
Nice.
you know, Konami's cool. Konami code's cool to get a special like power up in a video game. It's not cool to be able to have to reset your phone that way. So that would be my two like main ones of like hardware. I would also love for Apple Maps to have like Waze like functionality. It would just be cool. I think that would just like please.
Now, what does
like,
that mean? Because I've never used Waze.
So
I don't know
Waze
what
would be
does.
like, it's kind of like also crowd data. So if there's a traffic accident, something's happening, people can then send the message to Apple and they can check it out. And if enough people send the message, they could put it down into Apple Maps. And I think that would be a faster way to be able to, like, I live in Montreal. We have like road closures and I'm sometimes floating around construction closures, rerouting. I'm sometimes floating around in the middle of nowhere. And I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I get lost.
Oh,
in a
they're
circle.
doing that. It started in San Francisco towards the end of last year, and it's going to go across North America. But it's going to be doing a lot more of the crowdsourcing based on everyone else using maps at the same time. The only big difference between what Google and Waze does is that Apple's going to be throwing away the starting point and the end point, and then taking 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5 of the middle points, just so that it can preserve your privacy. They don't want to know your whole route.
Will they also, Renee, be putting in information though that I can send in, like there's a traffic stop that's happening at this place, there's an accident here? Well, I don't know if that would be legal to do for speed traps,
but I think that's why people use Waze, isn't it?
They do,
yeah,
but
I mean,
again, I don't know how
stuff,
Apple would feel about like, but again, if traffic has stopped in a certain area because of an accident, I think that that's really important to know. And I think in a lot of ways it's protective, because if you're going around a corner and there's a big car that's stopped in the middle, you may not see that. Or if it's very icy conditions, I think that it would be great if we can give data to Apple to help make Apple Maps better. A lot of people would do that. And then Apple actually fixes it. Like I'm not in a park for like, I don't know, 18 months when I don't actually live in a park.
Are you sure? I'm
pretty sure. Like I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
You're in a national park right now.
I mean, to follow up with what you're saying, Georgia, I think Apple Maps needs a lot of extra work. And when it first launched and it wasn't very good, I understood that it didn't have all the time that Google Maps had to kind of catch up and like get all the data that it needed. But it's been quite a while now, and I still don't trust Apple Maps to do what I want it to do. I think the last time I used it was shortly after you were able to call for an Uber from Apple Maps, and so I did it. I just kind of tapped the call for a car thing, and it sent the person a block and a half from where I was standing. So then I did it again. I just like, with Siri, I just was like, okay, well, I gave you another try, and that happened. So I'm shutting it down again. And I think there's these little user interface things, and I know a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm familiar with Google Maps, but I think that some of them are sort of important user interface features that Apple really could benefit from if they were to kind of adapt some of that. Like the turn-by-turn navigation in Apple Maps, I think is not easy it's not intuitive. If I have to glance down while I'm driving, I can't figure out what I'm looking at on Apple Maps' turn-by-turn navigation, but on the Google Maps turn-by-turn navigation, it kind of gives you this like from above version of what you're doing instead of a from the ground version of what you're doing. So you have a better understanding of what's to come. So, I think like to follow up with what you're saying about wouldn't it be nice to have more sort of real-time traffic integration in Apple Maps? I think they should go back to the drawing board with Apple Maps, honestly.
I've had a really weird experience this year. I started using Google Maps predominantly because big surprise, Pokemon Go is tied into Google Maps. So whenever you hit a stop or a gym, it would just pop up Google Maps and take me there. And that was mostly what I was doing when I was driving around because I worked from home. So I was just almost always using Google Maps. But then for some reason, like one of the things that bugs me about Google Maps is like, it's just unpredictable. Like they change things all the time. And it stopped saying the name of the exit. It would just say this. It would just say the street, and that's impossible in Montreal because every exit is like for 12 different streets, and like I don't know which street it is. So if it would say, "Oh, coming up on Avenue de blah 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 blah," and I'd be like, I don't know where that is. Just say exit 9. And Apple Maps kept saying that, so I started using Apple Maps whenever I'd get on a highway, and then they added this new lane guidance because, like Lori said, it was infuriating because it was like this front view, but then they started putting this lane guidance on top of it, and Google Maps would not do I don't know if it's a geographic thing, but it would not do lane guidance for me here. It would just say take the left, and I'd say like which lane, and but the worst thing for me is that I came to the stunning conclusion that none of this stuff works. I was in a car driving straight. All I had to do was turn left into a bank, and Apple Maps literally told me go straight, turn right, turn right, turn right. Google Maps said go straight.
It does bring you there though.
Yeah, Google Maps said go straight, do a U-turn, come all the way back, and U-turns are totally illegal where we live. Like not allowed doing them.
Oh no!
And this is the middle of a road that has like a thing in the middle, and you can't even use. And I'm just like, no, we have like this is not a solved problem. I'll need all of you to get into a little room and just work so much harder at letting me turn left at a traffic light with the left indicator into the bank that I wanted, because I can see it with my eyes, and my eyes were the best maps that I had. And I was
I think you're right. It's not so much that Apple Maps or Google Maps is good or bad. It's that they're all we've stopped carrying around our Thomas guides and started relying on our virtual maps, and they're failing us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
so I like the lane choices is a really great thing. I do enjoy it telling me which lane I actually have to turn in. That's awesome. But
I wonder if it's because I don't live in as much of a bustling metropolis, or I don't know, but like I hear a lot of, I'm not, I don't like to do this thing where it's like, oh, well, I'm sorry you are having this problem, but I've never had this problem. But here I am doing it because genuinely, like I've used Apple Maps for years. I'm like notoriously horrible at guidance, knowing someone's like, oh yeah, just go north, and I'm like, that's
me in Georgia too.
Yeah, I'll is that up? I don't know. So north, south, like don't tell me that. And then
that's not helpful.
Street name, if I'm by the street, sure, but like it's at the corner of what? I don't know.
I'm with you. I'm so with you.
So I
have to start driving to be able to figure out, oh no, I'm going south.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Whenever the thing is like, go, even on the GPS, when it's like, go north on this, I'm like, well, let me just drive around this parking lot till it figures out the compass, and then I'll know where I'm going. So with that, I have to use GPS pretty much everywhere. Once I go to a place like 12 times, then I'm fine. But like it takes a lot of time. Some people just pick it up after the first time. My doctor will sometimes tease me because whenever I'll go, to the doctor's office, and then I'm like, can you lead me out of here? She's like, you've been here 75,000 times.
What I'm hearing is that me, Micah, and Georgia should never do a road trip together because we will end up in the ocean.
Or you should take me with you because
I'm bad. Georgia's bad. When you put us together, we are terminally bad. I can only think about adding Micah.
Yeah, that's gonna like cube it.
You're bad cubed.
We'll be all sitting in the back seat, pointing in different directions on which.
And then they'll all be wrong.
Yeah. The whole point of that is just to say that like I have to use GPS all the time, and I have not really had any issues with Apple Maps. I have experienced a thing that Renee just talked about where I could have just turned left, but it was telling me, and then yes, in that case, I'm paying attention with my eyes. But yeah, like I use it all the time, and I haven't had any issues. And I'm curious if it's just like the Midwest, and particularly like. Well, I will say Missouri has one of the best departments of transportation in the country for some reason. And so I don't know if like our maps that are updated are a lot better, or what the deal is, or if roads don't change as much, or what's going on.
They just love you more, Micah.
Or they just love me more. That may be it. But whatever it is, like I have not had all of these issues. And I know like it's different in California because driving there in a lot of the places sounds like just the worst nightmare in all of history.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah. But anyway, my point is there, I have not had too many issues with that, and it's been great. Now, I can't remember whose topic that was.
Georgia.
We did Georgia. Okay, Georgia was that was Lori, what is your looking forward to?
My big hopes and dreams for 2019. This has just kind of come to me toward the end of this year, and Renee's going to appreciate and agree with me. I want to see tech companies, not Apple specifically, actually less Apple than everybody else, but I want to see all tech companies, number one, stop sharing my data with so many different organizations. And number two, tell me what they're doing with my data. Give me a rundown of all of the companies that they're sharing my data with. And number three, be more accountable to how they're protecting me from nefarious companies. Number one, just, your Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, Google, you're making billions of dollars now. So you don't have to keep sharing my data with even more people to continue to make even more money. So rein it in a little. That's the number one. The number two, I honestly think, and I'm not saying like we need government regulation to fix everything, but we're at a point now. Yeah. We're at a point now.
You can't do it yourself.
Yeah. Our data, we are choosing to give away our data, but we are not understanding what we're giving away. And I've said this, I think I said this last year, companies need to tell us what they're doing with it. And I want there to be, in
a way that we can read it, right, Lori? Because when I agree, they're like a million, like they can't be 67 pages of, lawyers speak so that you don't understand it. And they hide all the nefarious things in pages and pages because then they know people won't read it.
Right. And I'm not even suggesting that it's nefarious. I think what I'm thinking is, if I were to, for example, sign up with a new Google account for the first time in my life, and I'm ready to go, I'm going to get my G account, whatever. And so it says, agree to our terms and conditions. Within the terms and conditions, there should be a section where 100 companies are listed. And by default, you are allowing these companies to get information that Google shares with them, but you can manually go in and say, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you, and pick the companies that you do or don't want these companies to share the information with. And then when they get new, companies, then you get sent out an update that says, hey, we've added some more companies. Do you give permission for us to share your information with this company, this company, this company? We're completely in the dark about what it is that's being done with our data, who's doing it, who it's being shared with. We are selling our souls to the devil for these free services. But I think that it needs to be presented to us in a way that we can understand better. I was actually just on the Android Central's podcast, and I used this analogy, so I'll bring it up again because it kind of feels the same way. When you go to your doctor to get a physical examination, that information is private. Your doctor is not going to just go, I'm going to go share some of this data that, your exam. I'm going to share some of this information with
all the interns
some
are
other
watching.
people. Well, so you wouldn't give away your health data, your private health data. Your other personal data is just as important to you as that. And we just need to know more. I'm not saying stop doing it. I'm just saying, tell us what we're doing, make it clear to us, be much more transparent. And then again, 3, Facebook is the biggest offender of this, in that we did agree to give away our data to these companies in exchange for services, but these companies aren't protecting that data from nefarious companies. When you, as a company, say Google or Amazon or Facebook or Twitter, agree to share your data with a company, how do you know that that company is not going to use it in negative ways? So your job is to protect us, because we are agreeing to give it to you, but we're not agreeing to allow you to throw it in the dumpster. So the tech companies around the world need to work harder to protect our privacy and protect us, protect the data that they're sharing of ours, so that we can trust you and that we can trust that while we're giving away our data, you're doing something to make sure that we're safe.
Yeah, and we know that for Facebook, their objective is to get away with selling as much of our data off for the highest bidder as possible, not to be able to be more trustworthy. They're actually becoming more sneaky and trying to get away with it. And when they released to the UK all of the emails, the internal emails from Facebook, and then Facebook said, "Oh, that's private. You shouldn't." A little bit of irony, right? It wasn't lost on anyone.
No.
That was private. You guys shouldn't be reading that, and you shouldn't let it out. It showed that they knew what they were doing. It was fully with, the thought to try to get away with as much as they could, because they knew that that's how they could make the most money. In Canada right now, the Federal Privacy Commissioner, Daniel Terren, is issuing new guidelines actually like this, that under privacy laws, organizations are going to be required to offer meaningful consent for collection, use, and disclosure of personal information.
I like the way that sounds. Meaningful consent is a good way to term it.
It's just so it'll emphasize all the key points. We'll have layers of the information on the privacy so that we can get also a quick kind of look to that. And for our consent to be ongoing process, just like it is for the medical profession. Because usually also in these privacy consents, when you say, "I give consent," I've read it, they say that they can change it at any point in time without having to ask us again for consent in order to do that, and what has changed, which I think is really important. I don't think this goes far enough. I think that it's a good starting point. They also say that children cannot give meaningful consent, so children cannot be even asked to be able to give their consent to be able to have their information taken out. I love your idea, Lori. I think that the companies, they'll lobby very, very hard, and companies are people in the States. So they'll lobby really hard against having to give consent to all of the people that is underneath them, or all of their parent companies or the ones that are affiliates to them, because they want to be able to say, "This is how much data I have, and this is what I can give to you," and be able to use that as part of our marketing strategy to be able to make as much money as possible to that. So I think that one would be a really hard fight. I think that it's a very important one to be able to do, because, maybe if, you were a dissident from like some government and you've left, and then that government is one of the people that would want you might be like, "You know what, I don't want them because, I'm a political activist and this could be very bad for me," whatever it might be to that. But it's a really huge issue, and I think that that's a really good one, Lori, to put on your 2019 list.
Agreed. Well, we've got more to talk about, but before we do that, I want to tell you all about our pals over at Thrifter. Yes. You probably heard of Thrifter. Thrifter is a way to save money based on value and not hype. You can head to thrifter.com to sign up for thoughtfully selected deals from places like Amazon and Best Buy and others. It's all the stuff and none of the fluff at thrifter.com. Thrifter, whether you get the newsletter, which has some sort of curated goodies that they discover and sort of write about and let you know what's going on, that is one of the best ways to sort of get the best of the best of the best deals. You can also just head to the website to get all of the deals, or you can follow them at Thrifter Daily on Twitter to get that sort of fire hose of deals. Lori is perusing the site right now to check out some of the deals on there. Lori, what's Thrifter trying to sell us today?
My New Year's resolution for 2019 is to stop shopping on Thrifter, because I'm spending so much money on saving so much money.
You're saving so much money by spending all that money, Lori.
I find so many great deals. It's incredible. So this is somewhat topical. You can actually get a $10 gift card and a discount on TurboTax for 2018. The TurboTax Deluxe, I believe, it is $30, which is a real great price. And you get a $10 Amazon gift card to go with it to spend on whatever you want, except probably not the TurboTax that you're about to buy. So, so it's a really great deal. I think it goes for $45 normally. So it's a good price. Yeah. So that's my recommendation for today, because tax season is coming up in a few months.
It is upon us, folks. All right. Excellent. Well, yes, you can head to thrifter.com to get those deals in your inbox. You can head to @ThrifterDaily on Twitter, @ThrifterCA if you're in Canada, or @ThrifterUK if you're in the UK. And they'll have deals for all of those places.
Oh, wait, there's one more. gotta recommend this. The Nanoleaf is having a 25% off sale on a lot of their lighting kits, which
they have the coolest stuff.
They really do. And I have Nanoleaf behind me, the canvas. Unfortunately, it's not plugged in at the moment, so I can't light up the wall to show you. But Nanoleaf makes the most incredible things, and being able to get them on sale is kind of spectacular. So 25% off is
that's
sneezing.
No small. Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's a great deal. Excellent. So head there to check those out. Alrighty. My look forward for 2019, the thing that I'd like to see, Amazon just recently added an update to the Echo devices that involves a feature called hunches. And with hunches, you can, if you've got all of your stuff hooked up through the Amazon Echo, all of your smart home stuff hooked up through the Amazon Echo, and you use the Amazon Echo to control it, which I don't, it will sort of start to learn your routines over time. And then it will get some hunches, and it'll say, hey, you usually at 7 p.m. when you're home, turn on this light in the living room. Would you like me to just start doing that for you and then turning it off at the time whenever you usually turn it off? Yeah, I would like to do that. I want to see that come to Apple's HomeKit platform.
Yes, please.
I do exclusively use Apple's HomeKit app to control all the smart home gadgets in and around my home. I am using my phone, my iPad. I'm using, the different HomeKit hubs that are in my house to control those things. So that data, that little trail could be there to create that hunch. Apple has already rebranded Siri quite a while back as not just this virtual assistant, but also all of the artificial intelligence and machine learning smart stuff that's in your phone. And on their other devices. So let's add this to Siri as well, to where the smart home can truly become smart and can start to understand our habits and figure out, hey, you've got a motion sensor in your office that you use for your Ecobee, so that it knows like when you're home, and then can also do temperature and stuff. But I can also see that motion sensor and know that when you walk into your office at this time, I've checked your calendar and you've got a podcast coming up. So you probably want to trigger that podcast scene. Am I right? Yes, you're right, Siri. You're the best, Siri. I love you, Siri. Let's make that happen. Like, that would be so incredible. So I want hunches. I want bunches of hunches to come to all of the smart platforms, so that the smart home can be that promise that I think we have had, but we've not quite gotten to yet.
So then would it be linked to maybe your HomePod? Is that what you would think how that would work? How that could
any home hub? So the Apple TV, the 4th generation Apple TV, the Apple TV 4K, your HomePod, and any iPads that are in your house all serve as home hubs within HomeKit. And so any of them can be used to do automation. And so it would just be like in the home app, in the automations tab, there'd be like a suggestion that pops up. Hey, want me to automatically add this automation for you, or this hunch, as Amazon calls it.
Isn't that, it sort of sounds like the Siri suggestions.
Yeah, it would be like Siri suggestions.
What would be the difference? How would that?
Because Siri suggestions doesn't currently have like Siri doesn't know when I it knows when I sit down to podcast and can like turn off do not disturb, but it doesn't go as far as like oh, I know that you're in the house, which HomeKit does do. HomeKit can do location tracking. I know that you're in the house. I know that motion sensor just got triggered, and I know that your calendar says this. So it's just like, it just needs to pull in more context.
It's connecting all of the dots in order to bring you a more specific suggestion. Yeah,
exactly. So that like the dots are there and they do connect some of the dots. I just want them to connect more of them. And like the pathways are there too. The dots could be connected based on what I've seen, because it is super smart that it knows, yeah, I see on your calendar you've got a podcast, and every other time that you've had a podcast, you always turn on Do Not Disturb. Let me just do that for you automatically. Okay, so now we start to add in HomeKit stuff. And maybe, for some reason, like if the podcast got canceled and I forgot to remove it off of my calendar, well, it didn't sense motion when I walked by, so it doesn't think I'm in my office, so then it doesn't suggest all of those things. So just take a little bit farther or further in 2019, and I like it'll be so awesome.
I like it.
Alrighty, let's I think we've got time to go around for one more look ahead. So let's just start from the top again. Renee, what's something else you're looking for in 2019?
I know I've been expecting this for a while now. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm hoping that Apple gets that AR camera that they're rumored to be working on out, so that we have the same really cool features in the back camera that we're enjoying in Messages and FaceTime on the front-facing camera now. So like, I can throw that Memoji up on Micah if I'm across the room from him, or I can take a cool picture and have an AR Luke Skywalker just fly across it. All sorts of fun and fantastic things. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, the iPhone XS, whatever it is, iPhone 10 2S, whatever, gets that in the new year.
10S cubed. Oh God, I want that. Georgia Dow, what else is on your list?
Oh, I would like to have, I have two things. One is I would love Apple Pencil support to be with my phones. I would love, this one I'm never going to, like Renee always says, you're never going to get it, but I'm going to have to say
never going to get it, never going to get it, never gonna get it.
I would love to have a touchscreen Mac.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were going to say glowing Apple logo. Weren't you going to say glowing Apple logo?
You know what? I've given up on my glowing Apple logo. Apple is now giving it up on even the Macs. I'm like, really? I'm like,
Georgia, I thought you were going to say always on display on the Apple Watch.
See, there's so many things she's not going to get this year.
That is true. No, I could totally get. I could totally get that. That would be for the watch. Always on is the thing that I'm still.
See, this
I don't get it. Come on.
Renee Charlie Brown adults and goes wah wah battery chemistry wah wah wah.
That's what he does. I'm like, look, I had to move my bloody wrist again. Getting my workout on my watch.
You get those guns, Georgia.
Right. Yeah. So you're right. I would, if I had to choose between both, I would actually take always on my watch.
I thought you were going to say, if I had to choose between both, I choose both.
That would be better. Oh, I wish I said that.
The Razor
didn't make me say that.
Yeah, there you go. Just put mine over her. Yeah. Lori Gale, anything else on your list?
I'm gonna this is my in a pretend world. What about Apple has this sort of set things that they have and then they improve upon. And this past year, HomePod was the first new product that Apple brought to the playing field in a few years. So I'm going to go with a wearable ring that tracks your steps. So you don't need a full Apple Watch. It's cheap. It's $100, and it's a ring, and all it does is track your steps.
It's the iPod Shuffle of Apple Watches.
The iPod Shuffle of Apple Watches, yes. And we'll call it the Shuffle Ring.
All right, I dig it. That's new and fun and fancy. Anything else, or is that take care of it for you?
I think that's it for me.
All right.
My big thing was the privacy. It's really important to me, and I want to see some big changes. So I really didn't think past that. A smart board game.
Okay, I dig it. Yeah, I mean, with AR Kit, I'm sure there probably already are some board games out there.
That's true.
Add to that list. The last thing on my list is not so much for Apple, but continuation for Apple, but for all companies. I talked about this with 2018 because I think that companies did pay a little bit more attention to this, but I want it even stronger, better, faster in the new year, and I want individuals to also be more minded of this, and that's inclusivity, accessibility. These areas where, I of course, like, try to appeal to one's humanity first and say, and empathy and compassion, and say, hey, these are great things for you to do just because it's a good thing to do and it helps include more people. But if I can't appeal to that, then I can appeal to folks like sort of, I don't know, more like if we look at things from like a Vulcan standpoint of the logic, and the logic is that I choose to share something on social media, and by doing so, I want people to see it. And when they see it, then sometimes, you know, they click like or they comment on it, and then I get some mental brain feedback that feels good. And so you would think that if you want people to see the stuff that you post online, you want as many people to be able to consume it as possible. And so by being more inclusive and accessible, then you're able to share those things with more people, get more of those good brain chemicals, and everybody wins. So I want companies to continue to be champions of this, social media and, you know, hardware companies, and for Apple to continue doing a good job there. And I'd love to see more tech, like writing outlets, more journalistic, I don't know, what am I trying to say? Just websites that do tech articles. I'd love to see more representation from folks who are writing about tech accessibility, because there are the few that, you know, get a little bit more attention. I don't think they get enough attention, but get a little bit of attention. I think that we could all do a better job of reaching out and finding more and better voices to communicate about these things and to pay attention to them. And, you know, even though we at the end of the day have to worry about sort of like the bottom line and those kinds of things, I think we're all in a position where it's within our grasp to like be better in general, and to give people that platform. So yeah, just all around better and more inclusive and accessible in 2019 is my hope. And I'm starting to see that already. So I think that, yeah, this is a year to look forward to in that way.
I like it.
Beautiful.
All right.
What a wonderful world.
And I said to myself, all right, that is going to do it for us, I think. This, of course, I don't know where I'm going with this. I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in this year. It has been a beautiful, wonderful year to share with all of you out there who are listening, and also with each of you, my beautiful, wonderful co-hosts. This has been a blast. Yes, hearts all around. If you're watching live, then you're seeing the hearts go up. Thank you so much to Jim Metzendorf. I don't remember when Jim started editing the iMore show, but wow, thank you so much for, or like officially, I don't know, editing the iMore show. Thank you, Jim, for doing such a wonderful job this year. For publishing the show and all that stuff. Like that's no small thing. It takes a lot of time, and by golly, you somehow make us sound just fantastic each week, and we appreciate you for that. We will, of course, be back next week in the new year.
We'll be back next year.
The
show is now off for the whole rest of the year.
The year is done.
2018 done.
Wow.
Last 2018 show.
So tune in 2019 to see us then. If you are looking for Renee Ritchie online, where can you find Renee Ritchie? Renee Ritchie?
You can find me at Renee Ritchie on all the social things, or you can go to imore.com/vector, or if you just want the videos, youtube.com/vector show. And thanks in advance. You guys rock.
Excellent. Georgia Dow. I know, you're not so much on Twitter, but you do have awesome stuff that you're publishing online. And if people are looking for that, where can they find it?
Yeah, you can check out either master.life.com or anxiety-videos. I don't know, maybe it's master-videos. Let's just go to anxiety-videos.com. Right now we have a 25% off sale too on all the videos and sets. So if you're thinking of getting them, now would be the time, because that won't be happening for much longer. And then they'll go back to regular price. And we have ones on conflict resolution, dealing with emotional intelligence, anxiety, depression, parenting, sleep, Renee throwing things, how to hold things better.
Would that be boundaries and consequences?
Boundaries and consequences, yeah. So we have those. And if you get one, I would love to hear what you think about them, what we could change to make them better, what you're looking at getting. So yeah, let me know to that.
Excellent. Anxiety-videos.com. Awesome. Lori Gill, if people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
They can find me doing stuff on the internet. They can find me at Appaholic on Twitter. That's APPAHOLIK. They can find me at Lori Gill at most of the other social things. And I think I'm about to go write a quick troubleshooting guide on how to fix that Siri shortcuts problem, because Renee just blew my mind, and now I'm really excited.
I think I put it up when it happened.
Oh, well, that's what I get for not paying attention to you, Renee.
I'm having a problem urgently enough.
Fingers of the ears. La, 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 Renee, la, la. Excellent, excellent. Well, if you were looking for me online, you can find me at Micah Sargent, where today I'm tweeting about how I made the mistake of getting no-kill mouse traps, and now I kind of have a pet mouse, because how can you throw one out whenever it's looking at you with its cute little eyes?
We have one too. We just bought our no-kill mouse traps.
Yeah, so my dog is a kill mouse trap. She's a rat terrier, and
Yes.
in the past, she's taken care of them. But then this one, she did not get before the no-kill mousetrap did. And I looked at it and its little eyes and its little prayer hands were clasped. And I don't know what. Anyway, it's a nightmare. You can follow along at Micah Sargent.
There's usually areas where you can let them go so that they have, like, nice fulfilled lives in, like, nature areas.
If you let them go outside, they live 12 months. If they come into your house, they live 2 years. And if you have a pet mouse, they can live up to 3 years. So by putting it outside, I'm literally shaving 2 years off its life.
But it might be happier.
I know,
I'm just saying, like, 1 year of happiness versus 3 years
Quality
of
over
like
quantity.
prison and forced abuse. Let's be honest, they don't want you to cuddle them.
Oh my God, I would never. It's a dirty creature.
These are wild mice that are like, and they're not so
they're not bred
don't
to be
feel too bad. But if you want a pet mouse and it seems to be like totally okay, given consent, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a different story.
Boundaries and consequences and emotional intelligence for animals.
Right.
It's mostly a big joke. I mean, I do have one right now.
Do you have it in the trap right now?
No, it's not in the trap anymore. I put it in a big old penthouse. While I'm like,
do you have it so I can see it?
Oh no, I don't have it in my office. I'm working up the courage. Well, it's on Twitter. I'll send you a photo. I'm working up the courage to release it. So it's hanging out right now with some water and food until I can let it go outside where I know the hawks and owls are going to murder it. But until then,
I have a friend with a snake. So.
Oh no, I'm not. No.
Actually, mice are very dangerous to snakes. They can damage them quite badly and give them an infection. So usually when people feed mice to snakes, they actually have to kill
them first.
Yeah, they're actually can become quite vicious. Like rats definitely are like, don't do that. But mice also are. They can let out a
pet
yelp.
Rats. They're the best. Pet rats are incredible pets. They are genuinely
very, very good pets. Except they pee everywhere where they walk, and that's like a little bit when you find out that it's like, just a little bit of pee is okay among friends. No, not really. Sorry, too much information.
You mean all those times that we were hanging out and I was peeing, you weren't down? You were not liking that? Wow.
And on that note, we're ending.
Yeah, on that note, Jim, please don't include what anything that just happened is. I don't even know. You'll find a way. Goodbye. We love you, Jim Metzendorf.
How did we know to find Micah wherever he went? We're like,
listeners, thank you so much for tuning in this year. I hope you have a great week.
It's only getting worse next year.
Depending on when you watch this. This has been the iMore Show. Goodbye.